Hello, everybody. Nick DeTiro, Professor of Information Technologies and Computer Science, Lakeland Community College. I got involved in a very interesting conversation today, and I thought it was a great topic to cover in a general video. So let me explain what happened. I was talking to somebody, and I felt them trying to paint me into a corner. They kept on asking questions that became more and more narrowing, where it's like, okay, you answered my question, but what if? And then I would answer that question, and they would say, okay, but what if? And I sense this. And as an instructor, we see that a lot. Sometimes you're in class, you're given a lecture, and somebody grabs hold of a concept, and the first couple questions can be very legitimate. But then at a certain point, and we've all seen this and we've all felt it, that individual starts drilling down into what ifs. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to get the professor either frustrated or paint the professor into a corner where eventually the professor or the instructor will say, I don't know, right? Um, it happens. But let me tell you a story. And I'm going to go up to my screen, and you're going to think this is a strange story, but it is a true story. All right, let me go with my screen here. And these are what are called halon fire suppression units. And this is the one I really want to look at. This one's kind of older, but they were very popular in the 80s and 90s. I don't think they're allowed now. They were used for computer rooms. And the general premise is in a computer room, you can't douse it with water. You will destroy the equipment. You need to stop the fire, but dousing it with water will also destroy the equipment. So what these halon suppression units, don't worry about the fire extinguishers, but what these halon suppression units would do is you would have a computer room, and in case there was a fire, the computer room would seal, and then they would pump this halon gas into it. And halon gas is an inert gas, and it would remove the oxygen from the room and extinguish the fire, or put the fire out. 40 years ago, I had a friend, and he worked in a computer room at a local university. His name was Jack Cheney. I got to give him creds for this. We used to call him Yahoo before there was a Yahoo, because when he would finish a project, he would scream Yahoo. But anyways, Jack was given a tour one day, and some of the routine tours is they would give tours to third, fourth graders through the campus, and they would take them to this computer room. And they would always ask, what are these big tanks for? And Jack explained to him, oh, that is how we put out fires. You know, again, imagine a bunch of third or fourth graders, and there's this full grown man there. And he goes, well, this is how we put out fires. If there's a fire in the computer room, the doors will seal, and this gas will be pumped in and will put out the fire. And there was a young kid asked the question, legitimate question, what if there's somebody in the room? And Jack said, well, then you go over the door and you open it and you walk out. And the kid said, well, what if somebody's in the room or I'm in the room and I go to the door, it won't open. He goes, then you go to this other door on this other side and then leave the room. And the kid said, well, what if I go to the first door and it won't open, and I go to the second door and it won't open? And Jack said, well, you see that big red button over on the side of the wall? You press it and that will stop the fire suppression, right? So the gas won't pump out. And you know what happened next. The third or fourth grader asked the question, so if I go to a door and it won't open, and I go to another door and open, and then I press the red button and it doesn't stop the gas, what do I do? And Jack looked at this third, fourth grader with absolute sincerity and goes, then you die. And I think about that story all the time, because what this kid was trying to do is he was trying to paint Jack into a corner where he wanted Jack to say, then you die, or he wanted Jack to say, I don't know, or come up with something. And Jack was not going to have any part of that. Jack knew at a certain point, no matter what answer he gave this young man, the child was not going to be satisfied. So we see these questions all the time. And my advice is, you know what? There's first couple of questions are very legitimate. What if the door doesn't open? Well, there's other options. But when you start trying to paint somebody into a corner, what if, and you feel it and you sense it, just stop. Just stop. And there's been times I've told students, it's like, you're not going to get the answer you want, or you're trying to paint me in a corner, or then you die. So I've told that story many times in a lot of my classes. I figured, let's put it up on video while it's still fresh in my head. This is Nick Totaro. Let's go out and learn something.